Okay, so one of my most popular movie reviews is Mommy Dearest, which is the scathing tale of Joan Crawford's life. We do know that that movie has a lot of controversy. So I decided to do a new series, The Many Fans of Joan Crawford, darling. Here we go. Of course, you know I had to start this series with my patron saint, Betty Davis, which I personally feel is Joan Crawford's biggest hater. She can't stand the bitch, etc. Joan didn't like her either, but they kind of kept it cute. So I am going to let these ladies explain what I feel shows that, you know, both Joan Crawford being a professional, the good side of Joan, and also the bad side of Joan, the dirty shit she did behind the scenes. Here we go.
Many reporters tried to create some rivalry between the two of you, didn't they? At least they alluded to that in their newspaper stories. Was there anything to that?
Not at all, Marie. My goodness, we're too professional. We had too much work to do, and it was just wonderful. In the first time in my whole career did we ever have 2 complete weeks of rehearsal. I've been promised it before, but it was very exciting. When we did start filming, we knew exactly what we were going to do. The chemistry between us was so perfect and so amenable, and we excited each other and stimulated each other.
As far as making the film with her, she was on time, she knew her lines. She basically was a pro. But we're very different kind of women, very different kind of actresses.
You were very strong in your mind that there were other pictures for which you should have won the Academy Award. Why don't you tell us which ones you think you should have won for?
Well, I really was heartbroken and feel I should have had the one for Baby Jane. But Miss Crawford saw to it, really. She campaigned and asked all the New York members of the Academy to please not vote for me. She really did. And how foolish could she be? We'd have made $1 million more on the film had I won that award. That is traditionally true. I was really heartbroken about that.
Joan Crawford's career took a major negative toll with the publishing of the book Mommy Dearest by her eldest daughter, Christina Crawford. Christina Crawford brought forward a lot of wild speculations about her mother being mentally insane, a piss-poor and abusive parent, and a downright troubled person. I will allow Christina Crawford to demonstrate these claims in her own words.
Did you write the book because your mom disinherited you?
No.
Okay.
No, of course not. I never thought that the book would ever be published. I wrote it like a journal, like a personal journal, and I wrote it to set the record straight for myself, and I had been treated very unjustly. I had been a public person since I was a little tiny girl and used for publicity purposes. So I needed to tell...
You were a prop.
Exactly, and I needed to tell my story. I needed to put that down on paper. I sent it to a friend in New York. They sent it to their agent, and the rest is history. But as I sat down to write it, I never had any intention that it would be published.
Stroke is serious stuff.
Yes, it was.
I'm not sure I understand your answer. You're saying this may or may not have been related to the stress you felt you took after Mommy Dearest.
It was partly that. I think that was the final result of it, but it had been building since I was a kid. My mother had tried to kill me, and she tried to choke me. And it damaged the artery in my neck because she was very reluctant to talk about her past. She was probably sexually abused also. She did not let her mother in our house. She never had a meal with us. There were no photographs of her. We were not allowed to visit her during the whole time that I grew up.
A few short years after the publishing of the book Mommy Dearest, the high camp cult classic movie Mommy Dearest was released. Christina Crawford went on record stating that the movie did not portray her mother in the best light and was unequivocally false.
How was the movie not the real story?
Well, they took great liberties in just terms of fact. The whole production went so over the edge,
over the top,
that it wasn't grounded in reality. The performances weren't, and the script wasn't, and then I understand that the script kept being rewritten day to day.
While Betty Davis and Christina Crawford saw Joan Crawford in a negative light, Joan Crawford was adored by many people as far as her fans, friends, and those she trusted to briefly get to know her for purposes such as publicity and books. I will go on record to say that Joan Crawford is one of my favorite old Hollywood actresses, of course next to my patron saint Betty Davis. However, this series is all about seeing all sides of Joan Crawford. I will start this series with words from Charlotte Chandler, an author who wrote the book Not the Girl Next Door, which was the authorized personal biography of Joan Crawford.
Why Joan Crawford, and why did it take so long to write the book?
Well, actually, when I met Joan Crawford, I wasn't a writer. I was just in high school, actually.
Of course you were.
Yeah, and I didn't write about it for a long time because there were sort of other books that came. And I met Groucho Marx, who became my first book, called Hello, I Must Be Going.
Charlotte Chandler had the privilege to sit down with Joan Crawford, Kathy Crawford, and the other close colleagues to Joan Crawford, such as Douglas Fairbanks Jr. and Betty Davis. Chandler also went on record talking about Joan Crawford's charity work and how loved Joan Crawford was.
She was comfortable with people. She was a very open person, and she trusted people. And she really loved and trusted John Springer, who was her friend. And he said, I was okay. And that did it for her. And we met in a restaurant. We met in her apartment. We had a lot of wonderful meetings in which she was very open and confided a lot about her life. She loved her crew and everyone who worked there at the studio so much. And she worried about them. She knew their names, their families. And what she did was, as soon as she could afford a little bit of money, she took a hospital room and kept it and paid for it and found a doctor, her doctor, who did the things free for the people. And they had a free hospital room. They never knew that Joan Crawford was paying for it.
Doris Lilly went on record stating that she was a close personal friend to Joan Crawford, with the speculation that Joan Crawford did not die of a heart attack, but in fact committed suicide. She also went on to seemingly confirm the movie Mommy Dearest's claims that Joan Crawford was a clean freak.
A couple of years ago, she told me that there had been a threat on her life, that somebody had written to her and said they were going to kill her. Joan was an extremely vulnerable woman. Very easy to frighten. One wouldn't think so, you know, but she was, and she was afraid to go out of the house, and she never went out.
Was she, as you suggest, a cleanliness freak?
Oh, I mean, Doctor's Hospital, surgery at Doctor's Hospital was a pigsty compared to her apartment.
Maybe that's what she's doing the last 18 months, cleaning.
Well, she just cleaned and cleaned. It was just remarkable.
While this may sound very convincing, several reputable sources and close connections to Joan Crawford stated that Joan Crawford thought Doris Lilly was out of her goddamn mind. In fact, she felt that she was an opportunist who literally came into her life to get information to feed to the media. However, I'm going to let this crazy-ass white woman live her delusional fantasy talking about stories that reputable sources clearly stated that she made up.
She showed me her closets one day. She had taken a big closet that I use for my coats, because we have the same type of apartment, and she cleaned it all out, and she had taken sets of towels, like the 2 bath towels, the 2 hand towels. She put them all in plastic. Everything was in plastic. She said, look, Doris, now all I have to do is just take this thing out and I can put the and then she had 2 bottles of Mountain Valley water. I noticed in the corner in the closet. Each one was wrapped in plastic. I mean, she lived by plastic. So I'm sitting like this, and I light a cigarette, and I have the drink. So the ashtray, the coffee table was there, so I would get up like this to do this with my cigarette. While I was up, she fluffs the pillow, and by the time I got back, the ashtray was cleaned up.
Joan Crawford also had other daughters. They did not have the same raising as Christina Crawford, but something was definitely up. I would also like to point out that looking at them talk about Joan Crawford looked a little bit lobotomized. I'm just going to show you.
She wanted us to grow up independently, self-reliant, and to set our goals to what we believe was right.
I think about my life with her and what she had done for me.
Maybe I'm reading the emotionality a bit too much, but it's giving Heaven's Gate. Damn, did they drink the Joan Crawford brainwashing Kool-Aid or some shit growing up? They were damn near scared of Joan Crawford from the grave, or they were so immensely saddened, or it could be a mix of both. They also said the movie and the book, Mommy Dearest, was also unequivocally false.
And she wasn't that kind of person that my sister Christina had said. She was very caring and loving. I've never seen Mother lose her cool. She never lost her cool in front of us. I think sometimes she showed her frustration, but not in the cruelty that the book had mentioned.
She was just wonderful. She was very kind, though she was strict, you know, but she was, you know, all parents are to a certain degree, but that's how we teach our children. And she was just a very loving, caring person, and I miss her every day.
Other than Christina Crawford catching heat for seemingly ruining Joan Crawford's public reputation, the second person to get the most heat is the actress who portrayed her in Mommy Dearest, Faye Dunaway. Faye Dunaway has publicly spoken out against the film, as what we saw was not originally what was supposed to be the film.
It was, by definition, an exploitation novel, the first of its kind, and by definition, an exploitation movie, and it was never modulated directorially. I'm sorry to say, it became camp. It wasn't brought into a vision that said, look, let's really talk about who these two people were. You know, only God will ever know what passed between them. And in many ways, I think it was the inevitable tragedy that comes from a child of want, which is what Crawford was, and a child of plenty, which is what the little blonde girl was.
Joan Crawford had a great admiration for Faye Dunaway, and Faye Dunaway returned the energy. She felt that the complexities of Joan Crawford were not shown in the movie and has done a lot of damage control for herself and Joan Crawford after the release of the film for many years.
And you paid a price for it in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. There were people who resented the fact that you had taken it on. Huh?
I think the greater price I've paid is that, for better or worse, the work you do contributes to your persona. I feel uncomfortable with the persona that is out there as a result of the Crawford picture. It was a kind of a kabuki performance, you know what I mean?
Right. That's right.
I've done that now. I'm sorry to say, it became camp. It wasn't brought into a vision that said, look, let's really talk about who these two people were.
Bet you didn't know Joan Crawford did blackface now, did you? As you know and can hear, I'm black, okay? Joan Crawford did blackface in a movie by the name of Torch Song in 1953. So it was a bit eccentric and strange for everyone as well. But I'm gonna just show you her in blackface. Here we go.
She appears suddenly out of the blue as a mulatto.
I don't know why they scold me for
It's helpful to know that brown face numbers with white dancers and singers playing African Americans was still happening in Hollywood. Torch Song is actually one of the last Hollywood movies that features it.
And you goddamn right I'm finna respond about this blackface. I'm not surprised. One, it was segregation. She wasn't the only damn actor and actress doing that. I don't give a fuck what somebody think about how I look. It ain't a goddamn Hollywood blackface movie alive that's gonna make me regret being black. Now to the Joan Crawford, darling, industry politics.
How did you come to get the part of Mildred Pierce?
Mr. Mike Curtiz hated me. He wanted Barbara Stanwyck. He wanted no part of me. He said, I don't want those big, broad shoulders. Now, when I first started in pictures, Adrian said, I've never seen such big shoulders, she should be the female Johnny Weissmuller. So Adrian said, I can't cut her shoulders off, so I'll just exaggerate them. So that's how the padded shoulders came in. So Mike Curtiz said, I hate those big shoulders. I hate them. I hate them. So one day while we were testing, he hated me so much, he said, I hate you. And he tore the dress off me. And thank God I had a bra on. He said, my God, they're hers. Not these.
Back to those early days of movies, how different is Hollywood now? Do you like Hollywood now, or did you prefer it then?
I think Hollywood now is the most depressing place in the entire world. And I am the most grateful human being in the whole world for what it has given me. But now, there's snobbish little cliques there, and you may have it. Unless you're in a successful series, they don't want you.
Tonight, an arrest warrant has now been issued for R. Kelly. He faces 10 counts of aggravated criminal sexual abuse, 4 women, at least 3 of whom were teenagers. He has survived charges before, but tonight, after that Lifetime program called Surviving R. Kelly, authorities made a plea to any potential victim to come forward.
These bitches, I'm sicker, they in it for the money, they richer.